Anderson was the man!
Anderson Silva. We honestly need to start talking again about this guy as the GOAT.
You would watch him, you just like put your hands to your head and go, geez.
Anderson Silva might actually be the GOAT of combat sports.
Oh no! He hurt his leg, and it is all over!
Shame on him, how he calls himself a martial artist and then takes performance-enhancing drugs.
Anderson is an idol of mine.
Is that how long you want to fight? Well into your 40s?
Yeah.
No 46-year-old should be fighting. I'll never let him fight here again.
He was a real-life superhero, elusive, elegant, and deadly. The longest-reigning UFC champion in history, the man who made knockouts look like poetry. And yet, his story didn't end in glory. It ended in heartbreak, broken bones, and shattered legacy. This is the rise and fall of Anderson the Spider Silva, the man who redefined greatness in MMA and paid the price for chasing it too long. If you love the stories behind the legends, the scandals, and the chaos that shaped the fight game, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Now let's step into the world of Anderson Silva. Born in São Paulo, Brazil in 1975, he was raised not in wealth, but in struggle.
I born in a family, it's a poor family, but when I moved to Curitiba to live with my stepdad and my stepmom, my stepdad just look at me and say, listen, you have two choices in your life. One, you're doing something for your future, or you're doing something bad for the rest of your life. I don't understand because I'm 44 years old.
His family couldn't afford martial arts lessons, so young Anderson learned by sparring in the streets.
I believe in the martial arts changed everything in my life. And I started training capoeira in the school. That's my first contact with martial arts.
It's like dance fighting.
I mean, it's not dancing, but it's dancing. I don't have too much options, you know, or come cop the same my brother, my dad, or fighting.
Eventually, his uncle, a police officer, scraped together enough to get him formal training in taekwondo, capoeira, and later Muay Thai and jiu-jitsu. By the time he was a teenager, he had black belts in multiple disciplines.
I started training boxing.
What age was that?
17.
I know that you wanted to be a soccer player.
I go to the Corinthians soccer club. I come to the tryout to play football, but I'm too late. The people training boxing there. When I sit down and I watch everybody training, Coach Victor just look at me and say, okay, take this stuff and let's go training. And that's like my first contact with boxing.
That's like already 3 or 4 disciplines that you're already working on.
I like to learn.
And a hunger to prove himself.
You know, everybody start watching the videos about UFC and the time, you know, Commission Rock, Royce Gracie, and I say, whoa, that's cool. Maybe I go do that too.
His nickname, the Spider, came from his obsession with comic books, especially Spider-Man.
I'm a big fan for Spider-Man. I grew up with my stepdad and my stepmom. And a Peter Parker the same. I remember when I young and come home and my mom give him the Spider-Man suit.
You went to school with that on?
Yeah, when the break, I just take my uniform and I use on the Spider-Man suit. The coach called my mom and say, Anderson really think is a Spider-Man.
But he wasn't just dressing the part, he moved like a superhero.
Yeah, it's a good name because you fought like that.
Yeah.
You're here, there, everywhere, you know?
In 1997, he entered the world of professional MMA.
When I have my first baby, I don't have nothing except my talent. And I work in a McDonald's. Sometimes I work in the clubs. My first professional fight, I fight 4 times the same day to $100.
Was it like a tournament?
Yeah, tournament. I win my first contact with MMA, and that's a start.
However, like many young fighters, he faced adversity early. His first professional loss came in 2000 at the Mecca World Vale Tudo event in Brazil, where he dropped a decision to Luis Azeredo. Rather than derail him, this loss became motivation. Silva rebounded by rattling off 9 consecutive victories across various promotions and handed Hayato Sakurai his first ever loss to become the Shudo middleweight champion.
Who's the greatest MMA fighter that you've ever faced?
Hayato Sakurai.
Really?
Because it's my first title belt. A hard fight for me because it's the first time I realize I fight for respect to my country. When I come walk into the ring, the 2 flags come, Japan and Brazil.
Yeah.
And I say, whoa, now it's about my country.
The world was starting to notice, but the legend had just begun.
I fight in Brazil a lot. I fight in Japan. I fight in Korea. I fight in the different countries.
Japan was the epicenter of MMA in the early 2000s, and Anderson Silva entered Pride FC with a bang. In 2003, he delivered a flying knee knockout to Carlos Newton that still makes highlight reels today.
Oh! No way, he's out, he's out, he's out, he's out! He's out. It was...
But it wasn't all glory. At Pride 26, Anderson Silva was shockingly submitted by little-known Daiju Takase, ending his 10-fight win streak. The loss hit so hard, Silva briefly considered quitting MMA. Thanks to the Nogueira brothers, his mentors and brothers in battle, Silva stayed the course.
The time in the Pride, they have a lot of political stuff between me and the team, and Minotauro helped me to come back to fight.
He bounced back in England.
In England, he became Anderson Silva. So he fucks Lee Murray up in Cage Rage.
Lee Murray, both men just trading blows. That's what the crowd over is now sprightly on his feet. And he hurt Lee there. He hurt him. Anderson Silva!
After building momentum and capturing the Cage Rage title, Anderson Silva returned to Pride to face Ryo Chonin. But instead of a triumphant comeback, he was caught in one of MMA's most legendary submissions, a flying scissor heel hook, handing him yet another crushing defeat.
Inside take away the lead.
Oh, look at this! Whoa, this is good! Unbelievable! This is beautiful!
Silva then returned to Cage Rage to defend his middleweight title. He faced Jorge Rivera,
And then he comes back and fucks Jorge Rivera up in Cage Rage. And when he fucked Jorge Rivera up, he's standing in front of Jorge, who was a murderous puncher, and letting Jorge punch him in the face.
he faced top UK contender Curtis Stout,
And then beat his ass.
and later Tony Strickland, knocking Strickland out cold with a devastating reverse elbow that instantly went viral.
And he goes over and fights Tony Strickland in Cage Rage and hits him with that crazy upward elbow. Did you ever see that?
Yeah.
And reminded the world just how dangerous Anderson Silva could be. The UFC came calling, and the Spider was ready.
My last fight in Cage Rage, the guys call me, UFC like you signed to fight there. What do you think? I say, I'm happy here. Couple of days, the guys call me and I start fighting UFC.
And by the time he was coming to the UFC, I was like, dude, get ready for this guy.
Silva's UFC debut lasted just 49 seconds.
The betting lines back then were stealing. Nobody knew nothing.
Anderson in his debut, that was the one. I was like,
bet the house on the Brazilian. Bet the house.
He destroyed Chris Weidman with pinpoint punches and a final knee that made jaws drop.
People forget, man. Look how good he is. Ping.
He's over.
Yeah, ping,
Boom, boom,
ping.
boom.
Look at that. Come on, man. Almost every shot lands. He's not getting hit.
Boom.
It's incredible.
Ready?
Boom.
And it's over.
I was a fan of watching him fight in England in Cage Rage and watching him fight in Pride. And I remember saying this, ladies and gentlemen, this is a different kind of striker.
The UFC fast-tracked him to a title shot against Rich Franklin. And on October 14th, 2006, the world watched as Anderson Silva clinched Franklin and delivered knees so precise they broke his nose.
Again, Franklin's in trouble. High kick by Silva. Rich is in trouble. Anderson Silva. Another knee to the head. Franklin. And it's all over. Anderson Silva is the new middleweight champion.
Franklin collapsed. The crowd erupted. The Spider was now the UFC middleweight champion, and he didn't stop. For the next 7 years, Silva reigned with the dominance of a god. He finished Nate Marquardt, submitted Dan Henderson, humiliated Forrest Griffin.
Look at the hands flow.
Yeah, I think he really does.
Down goes Griffin. That's just amazing. And again.
He's out.
Anderson Silva.
I tried to punch him, and he literally moved his head out of the way and looked at me like I was stupid for doing it. He looked at me like, why would you do such a stupid thing? He looked at me like, oh, did you really think you were going to hit me? What a stupid thing to think, you slow white boy. And then he punched me. And I felt embarrassed for even trying to punch him.
Oh my God! Need to say thank you for Forrest, It's the best moment in my life.
In 2010, cracks began to show in Anderson Silva's relationship with the UFC. At UFC 112, despite defending his title against Demian Maia, Silva delivered a bizarre, taunting performance that left fans booing. Dana White was furious. He refused to put the belt around Silva's waist and publicly apologized for the fight, calling it embarrassing.
What a disgrace the main event was and what an embarrassment it is. I don't think I've ever been more embarrassed in the 10 years of being in this business. And it's the first time that I've ever walked out on the main event and given the belt to the guy's manager and told him to put it on him. Nobody has been more supportive of Anderson Silva than me. Talking about him being the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world. I can't stand showboating. What happened tonight was an absolute disgrace, an embarrassment for the UFC, an embarrassment for the sport, and I don't know if I've ever been more embarrassed than I am tonight. Well, he said the other day that he wanted to cut to 170.
Right.
And fight GSP. I don't want to see that fight now. He doesn't deserve to fight GSP.
It was a rare moment where the UFC president openly turned on one of his champions, and it wouldn't be the last. By 2010, Anderson Silva had wiped out nearly every top contender, until Chael Sonnen arrived.
Anderson Silva, you absolutely suck.
Anderson Silva, you absolutely suck. Remember that? It was like, what? Anderson was the man.
Everyone's
and
copying
Chael
him.
Sonnen standing in the middle of the octagon saying he sucks. Like, it was incredible.
The brash wrestler from Oregon launched a relentless trash-talking campaign, insulting Silva's skills, background, and even mocking his black belt.
Who's the biggest shit talker you faced? Chael?
Chael pushed me hard.
When Anderson Silva walks into a room, you could hear a rat piss on cotton. This is going to be a one-sided pounding, and I'm swinging the hammer.
He's got a black belt under the Nogueira brothers. I think a black belt under the Nogueira brothers is saying I got a free toy in my Happy Meal.
When is the line when it's like, bro, you're taking this too far?
You don't have a line, you know?
Well, Anderson's a fraud. He's a liar, and he's a thief. This guy's not from a bowing culture. You bow in Brazil, they'll hit you over the head and take your wallet out of your pocket.
Chael start, blah, you know? I don't talk.
No, I'm sore, tired, under the weather, overtrained, undermotivated, and still tough enough to beat this guy. I'm gonna take his belt. I'm gonna hurt him real bad in 2 days.
When I talk, I go talk one time. The last time, everybody on the phone, Dana, Chael, everybody on the phone, they say, all right, let me tell you something. I go kill this motherfucker. Everybody shock. Now the fight start.
At UFC 117, Chael backed it all up for 4.5 rounds. He took Silva down, ground and pounded him, and dominated him.
I remember the Chael punched me, boom, 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 and I...
Because you had a few submission tries in that, right?
Yeah, I doing a lot, but...
5 seconds. Oh, big shot, big one. Oh, he tagged him. He got him.
I mean, he won 4.5 rounds, Chael Sonnen.
Yep, he almost won the title.
But with just under 2 minutes left in round 5, Silva pulled off a miracle. A triangle choke from the bottom, and Sonnen tapped.
And I feel Chael, because Chael tired, and I put in the hands down, and they say, now is my time. And I put in the legs, the triangle, the Chael past the arm, take the armbar too, and I try to move my ribs a little bit high, and that's the Chael tap.
A record-setting win. Watch out, triangle. It's a trouble. It's a trouble. Chelsea's legs. He's got his legs across. That's what's he's done it. It's all over. It is all over.
The arena exploded, and the champion had been pushed to the brink and survived.
I mean, it was such a legendary sports thing. Not UFC, but sports thing. How this guy's down and was losing. It was over. Chael Sonnen was beating him. He figured him out. And then to get that triangle with, 40 seconds left, 2 minutes left, whatever it was.
Their rematch came at UFC 148 in 2012. But before that, Anderson Silva faced fellow Brazilian Vitor Belfort in a highly anticipated showdown at UFC 126. In the first round, Silva ended it with one of the most iconic knockouts in UFC history, a lightning-fast front kick to Belfort's face that dropped him instantly.
Second to none. Oh! He front kicked him in the face. Absolutely right. Trying to finish. It is over. Kick to the face. Anderson Silva.
Say thank you for Vitor, you know, because Vitor made the sport very popular in Brazil for a long, long time ago.
With Belfort out of the way, all eyes turned back to Chael Sonnen. After nearly 2 years of anticipation, the rematch was set. UFC 148 would settle the score. And this time, Silva came in focused and ready to silence the chaos once and for all.
I also don't believe Chael deserves a rematch, but hey, you know, I'm an employee of the UFC, and if I have to go in there and beat his ass 10 more times, I'll beat his ass 10 more times.
You know, it's nice to see the real Anderson come through, and I don't mean his funeral in a morbid way, but it's a funeral of a career, man. This is coming to an end. He sits over and pretends he doesn't speak English? Come on. Like pretending you're the world champion. I can't believe... Guy walks around with a fake belt.
In the rematch, Silva made it look easy. A knee to the chest, a few punches, and the war was over.
And that was something that we did turning point. That is an early turning point in this fight. That's a knee. Big right hand. Looking to finish the fight. Chael's in trouble. It is all over. Anderson Silva remains the UFC middleweight champion.
Silva won and invited Sonnen to a barbecue after the fight.
Se você quiser fazer churrasco lá em casa, eu te convido. Minha mulher cozinha pra gente.
He said, if you'd like to have a barbecue at my house, I'd love to have you over for a barbecue.
You never come to my house to my barbecue, man. Why?
Okay, here's the thing. I didn't think it was a sincere offer. If I knew I was really invited, and then I didn't know if your wife forgave me, it was a whole thing. That's the real answer why I didn't come.
You need to come, please.
In Brazil.
No, here in Brazil, a lot of people try to kill you. Trust me. People hate you in Brazil.
That's Anderson Silva, deadly and disarming. He knocked out legends, he toyed with challengers, he moved up to light heavyweight and embarrassed them too.
Ed's call. Something happened in UFC Brazil. What do you think? You can fight? And I say, yeah, I can fight. Of course I fight. Who? Stephen Bonner. Okay, I can fight.
He was Matrix-level defense, hands down, chin out, dodging punches by inches, and landing counters like a sniper.
What was so phenomenal about Anderson was that you would just watch him hit that flow state. He would start moving around, he would test you a little bit, move around. Yeah, he would give you a minute or two, and then all of a sudden you start opening up on you and be like, oh shit, here it comes. And he had achieved that against some of the best fighters in the world.
But even gods get bored, and sometimes they get sloppy. In July 2013, Anderson Silva met Chris Weidman, an undefeated wrestler with zero fear. Silva clowned, danced, and dared, but Weidman stayed calm until he landed a short left hook that knocked Silva out cold.
Anderson. Oh, he got hit! Look at the finish it! Chris Weidman is the UFC middleweight champion! My goodness!
Anderson dropped his hands and was being silly, and he got cracked. And everybody was like, I can't believe Anderson did that. It was a terrible way to lose. It wasn't just that they were in exchange and Chris landed a bomb of a left hook. No, it was Anderson was pretending to be hurt, and then he was like faking wobbling and trying to duck out of the way of punches like he always does, and Chris cracked him.
The invincible king had fallen.
You broke so many UFC records, longest winning streak, middleweight champion for so long. When you finally did lose the championship, did you feel like some of the pressure was off?
In UFC, my legacy is complete because I broke all the records. I stayed in the belt for 7 years. The first time in my life, in my career, knockout, and I'm not happy.
Are you 100% mentally and physically and ready to get back inside the cage?
I'm ready for the rematch.
You're 38 years old now. You've had a very long career, a lot of fights. Do you think your age had anything to do with your loss to Chris Weidman?
No. This is normal. I signed new contract. 10 more fights, bro.
Is that how long you want to fight? Well into your 40s?
Yeah, maybe.
6 months later, the rematch.
In that Muay Thai clinch as well. Oh, he hurt him. He hurt him already. Anderson's in trouble. He's in trouble. Looking to finish the fight.
Silva threw a leg kick. Weidman checked it.
Oh, nice. He checked it. No. He hurt himself. He hurt his leg. And it is all over. Anderson hurt his leg when the kick was checked.
And Silva's leg snapped in half. The silence in the arena was deafening.
He broke his leg. Anderson fractured his leg. You can see his leg hanging loose now.
You didn't even believe it. It didn't make sense. It looked like somebody filled up a sock with pebbles and just like hit it against something. And it was like, it didn't make sense. And it was so gross.
Oof. I remember when it happened with you, I didn't know your leg broke as soon as it happened. I thought you were just in pain. I circled around and I remember hearing this screaming, like someone was being murdered. And then I came over, and then I seen you holding your leg. And now I understand the pain that you went through, all the trials and tribulations that you went through.
The spider was broken, physically and spiritually.
When I broke my leg, then in the second fight, I say, oh my God, maybe now I can't fight anymore.
It screwed me up for a few days. I was messed up for a few days after that. I've been a huge Anderson Silva fan too.
When I broke my leg, I say, okay, now everything come down.
The force of the impact snapped Silva's left leg seemingly in half, breaking both the tibia and fibula, and it required the surgical implantation of a titanium rod to repair it.
Never had an injury like that.
And back home, and I see my whole family look me when I come out the car. In the moment, I feel so sad because everybody just look me, and I feel that it's time to stop. In the time when I broke my leg, I just hold my money, I take care of my family, I do investments and everything. But imagine I broke my leg and don't have this vision in the time. I'm done. My life is done. When I cover my leg, bring everybody, my kids and my wife and all my family, say, that's my life. I need you to continue this because that's me. I'm a fighter. That's me.
Silva's recovery kept him out of the Octagon for over a year.
He came back 13 months later, but it wasn't the same man. In 2015, Silva fought Nick Diaz and won. But the celebration was short-lived. He tested positive for multiple banned substances, including anabolic steroids. His excuse? A contaminated sexual enhancement pill from Thailand.
So Anderson Silva had a pre-fight test, an out-of-competition test. That test was taken on January 9th. The Nevada State Athletic Commission, they got the test back Tuesday, February 3rd, which was after the event. We found out at 10 a.m. that morning. And let me start by saying this. Believe me, if you don't think when this pre-fight test came into us on Tuesday, we didn't say, how is this just coming in now? This doesn't make sense. That test did not come back until after the fight, and that's when we were notified. First of all, the Nevada Athletic Commission would never let a fighter go in if they knew he was on performance-enhancing drugs, and we would never do that. Also, Anderson Silva tested positive in his post-fight PED drug test. He will now go before the Nevada State Athletic Commission to plead his case.
What was in the supplement was a sexual enhancement supplement. And the reason I didn't go to the doctors is because this particular supplement they don't have here in the US or Brazil. My friend brought it from Thailand, and that's why I was taking that. It was because I couldn't go to a doctor to get this particular substance.
The Athletic Commission didn't buy it. His win was overturned and he was suspended for a year.
My lawyers failed. It's not my fault. Because I tried to explain everything, right. Nothing happened.
Fighter's legacy has been tainted after testing positive for performance-enhancing drugs before and after his January 31st fight against Nick Diaz. The Nevada State Athletic Commission was unconvinced by Silva's defense that the positive test was caused by a tainted sexual performance supplement.
In 2016, Anderson Silva was scheduled to fight Uriah Hall at UFC 198 in Curitiba, Brazil, a major card in Silva's home country. However, just days before the event, Silva was forced to withdraw due to acute cholecystitis, gallbladder inflammation.
Anderson Silva has been ruled out of his UFC 198 bout with Uriah Hall. Just 4 hours before the plane was set to take off, he was rushed to the hospital with serious abdominal pain. The former UFC middleweight champion underwent surgery Wednesday morning to remove his gallbladder.
He underwent emergency surgery and was hospitalized, making it impossible for the fight to proceed. This last-minute cancellation was a major blow to the card and raised concerns about Silva's health and ability to continue competing at a high level. 2017 was a turbulent year for Anderson Silva. Early in the year, he was scheduled to face Kelvin Gastelum at UFC 212 in Brazil. But when Gastelum failed a drug test and was pulled from the fight, Silva was left without an opponent after completing a full training camp. Around the same time, the UFC announced that middleweight champion Michael Bisping would face returning superstar Georges St-Pierre, bypassing top contender Yoel Romero. Frustrated by what he saw as politics overtaking merit, Silva publicly demanded an interim title fight against Romero. He argued that both men deserved the shot and insisted the fight take place in Brazil.
I don't have problem for fight for Romero, but put on the belt for the interim belt.
When the UFC refused, Silva lashed out and threatening retirement. The rift between Silva and the UFC was now fully out in the open. Months later, Silva was scheduled to fight Kelvin Gastelum again, this time in Shanghai, but just weeks before the bout. He was flagged by USADA for a second potential anti-doping violation.
Anderson Silva fails out of UFC Shanghai main event. Makes sense, he's 40. Well, I'm not surprised.
The fight was canceled, and Silva was suspended once more. Again, Silva blamed a tainted supplement.
I just waiting for USADA and my lawyers, and hopefully I come back soon.
You're sticking to your word that you're clean, you never use performance-enhancing drugs?
No, nothing. Never in my life.
This time, USADA agreed, but the stain remained. 2 failed tests in 3 years. The GOAT conversation, it got complicated.
Shame on him. You know, how he calls himself a martial artist and takes performance-enhancing drugs is beyond me. It really is. He was doing it his whole career. And if you look at him, in Pride, he weighed in at 168 pounds. He now walks around at 40 pounds heavier.
Yeah, he was great. I really like Anderson Silva, but he was also failing a lot of drug tests.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, so I don't really like that. As soon as someone starts failing drug tests, that's a red flag in my mind.
By the end of 2017, Silva's relationship with the UFC was badly fractured, his reputation damaged, and his future uncertain. From 2016 to 2020, Silva went 1-6 in the UFC. He was slower, hesitant. The magic was gone. Silva's final UFC bout came in 2020 against Uriah Hall. After a competitive start, Silva was stopped in the 4th round.
Another right hand from Hall. Silva's down again. It's going to be close to the end. Prime time.
But today is the final day, and I'm so happy to be here and doing my last show for my fans in here in UFC. And sometimes it's very difficult for us to stop. I have the best moments in my life with every single opponent I fight here in UFC.
Dana White later said he regretted allowing Silva to fight at all and announced the UFC was releasing him.
Yeah, did you talk to Anderson, and do you know anything about what he's
Anderson's been transported straight to the hospital. When he signed this contract, we had a deal that this would be his last fight.
Is Anderson released from UFC, from his contract?
Yes. Anderson is released from his contract.
Dana White said he should retire.
And tonight I don't feel good about myself that I let Anderson Silva fight this last fight. He's a legend of this sport and he's a legend of this company, and Anderson Silva should never fight again. He's almost 46 years old. Unless you're trying to save your fucking life or defend your family, no 46-year-old should be fighting. I'll never let him fight here again. I want him to retire.
What do you say?
If the UFC said we want to induct you into the Hall of Fame, UFC Hall of Fame, will you say yes?
I never think about that because that's not important for me. The Hall of Fame is here in my house, in my country. I don't care about that.
But Silva had other plans. He turned to boxing and shocked the world.
Fight is part of the life, my heart. Dana make mistake to talk something about me. In the business world, everybody's a number.
Of course.
In my world, I'm a soldier. I'm not fighting UFC anymore, but I'm not done. My manager, Thalys, call me and say, oh, you have a fight for you in Mexico. Say, oh, really? When? In 6 months. Okay, who? Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. What do you think? You say, MMA? No, boxing. And I say, okay, nice. I love this challenge.
Yeah.
I think the boxing is not easy, but for me, it's better because I don't need to kick, I don't need to put on the ground, I don't need to train jiu-jitsu, wrestling.
In 2021, he outboxed Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., a former world champion.
The news start saying, you crazy? The guys go kill you. You're too old. I say, yeah, I'm old, but it's not about old. It's about passion, love.
Anderson Silva beat Chavez Jr. at 40 what? 44, 45 now?
Do you feel like the boxing community respects you?
Every day I try to do my best. When I fight with Chavez Jr., I'm so impressed because Canelo come talk to me and sign the glove for me, and I say, oh my God. You feel you need your respect and do your best more and more inside the boxing.
Then he knocked out Tito Ortiz in 82 seconds.
He did to Tito exactly what should be done to Tito. Knocking Tito out in 40 seconds is what should have happened in that fight. Tito took big shots from a lot of guys who hit hard. Anderson Silva knocked him out in 40 seconds. Anderson Silva, we honestly need to start talking again about this guy as the GOAT. Anderson Silva might actually be the GOAT of combat sports.
At 47, he went toe-to-toe with Jake Paul and took him the full 8 rounds. He lost on the scorecards, but won the respect of a new generation. Silva, the fighter, was still alive.
It's not because I need to prove something for everybody. No, it's just because I love my job. I love fighting. I love doing something special for myself.
But it was clear the story was nearing its end.
I know my time has come to the last part.
Last chapters.
Inside the fight game. When I'm here, I continue doing my best.
In 2023, Anderson Silva was inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame. His son, Khalil, accepted the honor on his behalf. The numbers are staggering. 16-fight UFC win streak, 10 title defenses, and the longest reign in UFC history. But beyond numbers, Silva was art in motion. He inspired a generation, from Israel Adesanya to John Jones.
Anderson is an idol of mine. He'll always be someone that I respect dearly and look up to.
He showed the world that a skinny kid from the favelas could become the baddest man on the planet, with nothing but technique, timing, and heart. Anderson Silva was more than a champion. He was a phenomenon. He made us believe in magic inside the cage. He showed us elegance and violence. He broke records, and later broke hearts. Yes, his legacy is complicated. PEDs, late career losses, and public spats with the UFC. But none of that erases the memory of his prime, when he danced through punches, dismantled legends, and smiled as he did it. He was a spider. He was a showman. And he was, for a time, the greatest to ever do it. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out our deep dive into Vitor Belfort's TRT scandal, a wild ride through one of MMA's most controversial eras.
You're doing this, you make success because you love. That's the secret in life. You don't love, don't do it. I have everything in my life. I have my real friends, I have my family, my kids, and everything I do in my life now is just enjoy, you know?
Silva has translated his passion and love for his sport into action by opening a training center in Los Angeles.
When I come here feeling, oh my gosh, I'm in home.